You're listening to the Travis Makes Money podcast presented by GoHighLevel.com. For a free 30-day trial of the best all-in-one digital marketing software tool on the planet, just go to GoHighLevel.com/Travis. What's going on, money makers? Welcome back to the Travis Makes Money podcast, where it's our mission to help you make more money. If you're new to the show, we release brand new conversations with unconventional money makers 7 days a week. So if you haven't yet, please be sure to go to your podcast app of choice, including YouTube, hit the subscribe or follow button so you never miss an opportunity to learn how to make more money. And while you're there, if you want to leave us a quick rating review, we'd be eternally grateful, as it does help out the show tremendously. Today on the show, we're talking about opportunity zones with my new friend, Ashley Tison. Ashley is a practicing attorney and experienced entrepreneur responsible for the founding and growth of numerous enterprises across a wide array of industries. As the co-founder of ozpros.com, he's built a team uniquely positioned to handle the acquisition and securities, real estate, and tax nuances that are inherent in opportunity zone deals. So let's go ahead and jump into this conversation with Ashley. What's up, man? Welcome to the show.
Well, thanks, Travis. It's an honor and a privilege to be here.
Let's move back in time here, bro. We always start off with a question like this. Tell me how you made your first dollar ever.
Mowing grass when I was 8 years old, right? My brother had a bunch of lawns, and he had a knee injury, so he was 7 years older than I was, and he couldn't cut the grass, and so I went out there and filled in on his lawns at 8. And man, I was like, why did you agree to bag their grass? Because the bags were dang near as big as me, right? And so
no kidding.
That was a hard-earned dollar, but it started off my lawn business, which, kind of lit the entrepreneurial fire.
What did your parents do?
My dad actually sold furniture for Century Furniture.
Okay.
And my mom, believe it or not, was a lawyer.
Oh, nice. Okay. So yeah, you got kind of both of those influences then. Kind of the entrepreneurial spirit is alive and well in those, especially old school furniture sales people. Like that was a hustle back in the day. And they made pretty good money too. And then you have the kind of traditional education piece from your mom, which obviously both of those ended up influencing you to do what you do now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It was kind of interesting because my mom didn't go to law school till later in life.
Okay.
And prior to that, so my mom and my dad split up when I was 2.
Okay.
And so my mom had a trust, and I think she went to law school. Well, number one, because the trust would pay for it. And then number two, so she could figure out better ways to bust the trust. And so she was actually in law school when I was in undergrad at UNC Charlotte. She was at the University of Cincinnati. We were actually in the same conference. I played basketball, and so she ended up coming to my game as a student at the University of Cincinnati while I was there playing as a student for UNC Charlotte. It was kind of fun.
That's hilarious.
I put their best player through a scores table, and that didn't win friends and influence people, right? When she told everybody that, oh, yeah, it's my son that almost put Kenyon Martin out for the season.
It was Kenyon Martin?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, good times.
I mean, he recovered pretty well, I would say.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and she was like, "Oh yeah, that was him."
Yeah. And went on to have a career in the NBA. So you didn't hurt him too bad, bro.
I didn't hurt him.
He came back.
He came back. He was all good.
Maybe that was a formative experience for him. You know what I mean?
I think that I was personally responsible for giving him the impetus and the caustic. I was the pebble, in his oyster that caused the pearl, right?
Yeah, that's right. You may as well take credit for it, bro.
Might as well, right?
Yeah, right.
I guarantee you, he doesn't remember me or remember that occurrence.
Well, tell me how you made your most recent dollar now.
So I am an opportunity zone advisor, and we do full service opportunity zone advisory work for clients. And then we also have an opportunity zone fund where we make investments into cool transactions and cool deals that are inside of opportunity zones. And our most recent deal is a boat and RV storage facility that's got solar on it. And that also is we have a contractor laydown yard and truck parking in that facility. So it's a green truck parking facility with kind of the understanding and maybe, positioning it so that it'll ultimately be an electric truck charging station down the road.
Oh yeah, nice. Okay. So where did first of all define opportunity zones and then where did you find this kind of niche to specialize in?
Yeah. So opportunity zones were created by the Tax Cut and Jobs Act of 2017. And there was literally like 3 pages of code inside of like 1,500 of them. And it allows people to take long term capital gains, short term capital gains from any kind of sale, business, crypto, real estate, and you can put it into a qualified opportunity fund. You get to defer the taxes when you invest into the fund. And then after you hold that investment for 10 years, anything that's owned by that fund that's a capital asset is eligible for a step up in basis to fair market value. That's significant because it eliminates capital gains and it also eliminates depreciation recapture. For savvy investors, this becomes a really powerful vehicle having a 10-year aged fund to do transactions and to do them tax free and to get really creative on some kind of aggressive depreciation strategies as well and make it so that you don't get that depreciation recapture.
So you can defer the initial capital. So you have a house, whether it's a primary residence or it's an investment property. You
That's
sell
right.
that, you make a couple
A
hundred
million
grand.
dollars.
Okay,
Normally,
let's call it
yeah,
a million
normally you pay
bucks.
$238,000 next year. You put it into an opportunity zone, you get to defer that until December 31st, 2026, which allows us to do some additional tax mitigation for you. And then the key thing is that whatever your new investment is, let's say that you made that investment on April 3rd of 2025, as of April 4th of 2035, anything that you own through that fund is now eligible to be stepped up in basis to fair market value whenever you transact on it.
Can
And
you
so
can you
you pay
explain what that means? Stepped up in basis to fair market value.
yeah. So when you sell something, the difference between what you sell it for and your basis is how much you pay in capital gains taxes. And so if you step up the basis to whatever you're selling it for, now your basis equals your sale price and you don't pay any capital gains taxes. It also, your depreciation recapture is computed based upon how much of the depreciation schedule has caught up by the time you transact. And if you step up the basis to fair market value, now you don't have to worry about that either.
Wow, that's pretty wild, man. So how did you come across this? I mean, it's
I
not
was
really a
sitting in a
loophole;
C
it's a real thing now. Where
I
did you
was
come
sitting in
across
a
it?
CLE. I was helping business owners keep more of what they make. And I was learning about the Tax Cut and Jobs Act because taxes are really a really big deal as it relates to how you keep more of what you make. And I heard a guy talking about it. I ran him down in the hall afterwards and I was like, hey, man, when you were talking about opportunity zones, that sounded like 1031 and private equity got married. And he's like, oh, they had a beautiful baby named Opportunity Zones. And so I was like, I ran back in and started taking down domains and we popped up a website just to kind of test it. And in a week, we had 75 inbound leads and $50 million worth of capital looking for deals. And
Oh
I was
my
like,
gosh.
I think we're on to something.
That is crazy. So it was really just a matter of like timing. There was just there were so many people that kept probably hearing about it at a conference like that, and then went
That's
to
right.
Google. The only resource that was up was yours.
That's right. And we caught the wave. And that's literally what positioned us. My background kind of matched up really well with it as well.
Sure.
So I was a big firm lawyer. I went in house to do 1031 syndications. So we would syndicate 1031 investors into more commercial type properties. So I learned about tax free exchanges and how you then distributed that through broker dealer network, registered investment advisors, that kind of thing. When the commercial real estate market crashed, I went back to practicing law and built up a mergers and acquisition firm where we helped bring Wall Street level sophistication to Main Street America. I was really passionate about helping Main Street business owners take advantage of being able to sell to private equity shops and that kind of thing, but not get screwed in the process and not have
Yeah.
to spend $100,000 in legal fees. And so we came up with a really fair way to do that. We use software in order to make that happen. And I sold that firm in 2017. And then we repurposed that software to become the legal Zoom for opportunity zones because I wanted to do the same thing. I wanted to take this, what I think is the greatest tax incentive ever legislatively created, and make it available to Main Street America.
Did you sell that business because you were already taking off with OZ Pros, or did you sell that business in hopes that you could find a new opportunity just because you wanted a different journey?
It was kind of interesting. I actually sold it because my main customer was a mergers and acquisition shop that was like driving 80% of my business. So being a smart, like actually taking my own advice, I went to that person. I said, "Hey, you're 80% of my business, and I'm very concerned about if something happens to you guys or if it goes away." And he said, "Well, why don't you just come in house and you could become a partner here." And the problem was is that the way that our deal was structured is that if I became a partner, I then couldn't be third party counsel and be independent to do their deals. And
Mm.
so I sold that practice to another lawyer who now could do that. And I just earned a residual off of that. So there wasn't any conflict with it. And then I went about becoming a mergers and acquisitions expert. And kind of through that process, and as I was doing that, and as we were building a succession planning, framework for how we were helping business owners to do their succession planning, to keep more money, to make their businesses more valuable, that's when I found out about opportunity zones, and it was like, hey, we can do the succession planning, but man, we gotta ride this opportunity zone wave while it's here.
There's been several principles that have clearly driven the success that you've been able to have in your career, Ashley. For somebody listening who maybe they didn't grow up around money, they didn't have a good relationship with money, maybe they still don't, what core principles are you focused on in your life that would help the average listener think about making more money in a better, more productive way?
Well, I think the first thing, and this, I've had to learn this the hard way, is focus, focus, focus. Try to niche down as much as possible. The second one is spend less than you make and try to live off of residual revenue. That's what I'm just trying to bang into my kids' heads. Hey, I don't care what you do. So I've got my oldest son he's in the trades, and I'm like, listen, man, I know tons of millionaires who are tradespeople. The key is let's get you residual income off of real estate, off of intellectual property, something that provides residual income. And let's make sure that you do not grow your standard of living until you increase that residual income. And if you do that, you will always be rich because you'll always be free because
Yeah.
you can then go and do whatever you want. The final piece is that you've always got to be a learner. You got to be a lifelong learner, and you got to be consuming information. I started reading when I was I don't know. I think it was in second grade. My dad gave me the Andromeda Strain by Michael Crichton, which, by the way, is probably not such a great book for a second grader. Just FYI. But that started me on this lifelong. Just I read all the time, and I love to learn. And even if it's spy novels, right? You're always learning something if you're reading and if you're consuming knowledge. And so that's kind of my final piece. And if you marry those three, you're definitely going to be wealthy.
Let's talk about that residual income piece. Where some people don't like, they can't even wrap their mind around the idea of just having an extra $1,000 a month coming in without them physically working the hours that it takes to make that $1,000. Where can you get started with residual income if you don't have access to funds, if you don't have parents with money, if you don't have a great educational background or whatever it is, you just like I said, it can seem like you're speaking Greek when you're being like, oh yeah, just increase your residual income. Like, well,
Sure.
oh sure, that sounds awesome, but what does that mean? How do I do that?
Yeah, so I mean, you can get started, and I've seen people get started with literally just a pad of paper and a pen, and I've seen them go to mobile home park owners and write letters and say, "Hey, listen, I'd like to buy your mobile home park," and if I would have had, I speak from experience. I actually purchased mobile home parks, bought them, flipped them, sold them, that kind of thing. If I would have gotten a letter from a kid that said, "Hey, I'd like to buy a mobile home or one of your mobile home parks, or even just a mobile home," I would have absolutely financed the whole thing for them, right? To get one of those homes, that just so that I know that there's somebody in there that's actually hungry. And then if they were good at it, I would have sold them another one, and then I probably would have put them into a park. And so I think that if you're hungry enough and you can identify an asset class or something that has more management type labor intensive stuff that most people don't want to do, you can make it to where you could step into that. I'm actively looking for a homesteader right now, and you'd be surprised and amazed by how few homesteaders there are out there that are willing to be like, yeah, okay, I'll come homestead your place. But I would absolutely do that and give them equity as it relates to coming to homestead this property that I have. So
What
there are things, right, in asset categories that typically, in what it's usually around, is where it requires a fair amount of work. If you're willing to do the work and you're willing to stay focused and follow through on it, then that's the secret sauce to be able to execute and to start building that snowball. Start with one, take your equity, plow it into the next one, and take that cash and keep building.
what is homesteading, and how can somebody make money doing that?
Literally, homesteading is just like having a place where you live and that you grow your own food, you grow your own crops, you basically self-sustain. And then as you get the hang of it and as you increase your bounty, you're usually then able to sell a portion of it. Like there's all kinds of people that are looking for locally sourced food. And, and once again, if you've got the ability to be able to go and to get after it and to work, you could probably find somebody that's got stale farmland that would be willing to let you homestead on it if you're just going to take care of it.
Interesting. And so they'll pay you something to basically work the land.
Sure. Like, so I would pay them a salary. I would give them the ability to work the land. I would let them have right? So if they produce and there's over an abundance and they're able to sell it, totally let them keep those proceeds. And then I would also have them start teaching, right, and running classes about how to do it for the people that I would be bringing in Airbnb to stay there. I got a property like that. That's the vision right there.
Oh, wow.
And I can't find somebody to fill that spot.
Well, where's the property located?
It's in Western North Carolina. And you'd think that like through Helene, there'd be all kind of displaced people that would be interested in it. And once again, I can't find anybody.
Yeah, it's crazy just how much there's so much opportunity out there, man. Sometimes just about getting out of your typical milieu and getting around people who have opportunities like this. Because like this is we've had a lot of people on the show, man. I've talked to a lot of people about random ways to make money. This is a first. I've never heard
homesteading.
Yeah, I've never heard anybody be like, "Hey, I will pay you to come live at this place that I own." You can even earn equity in the property. You can become an owner, get paid a salary, get proceeds from the additional produce that you have, and people just are not aware that these types of opportunities exist.
See, there you go. And so now what I need to do is I need to create a course about how to make money as a homesteader.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, dude, I think it'd be somewhat timely because I think there's a lot of people that are trying to eliminate technology and get back to a more simple way of living. And man, what a completely risk-free way to try it out.
Dude, literally, it would literally be completely risk-free. I would provide all of the cash for all the crops, everything else. All they got to do is just provide the sweat.
Yeah, that's it. Ashley, I appreciate you coming on the show, man. I want to ask you a couple of quick questions. We'll get you out of here.
Yeah.
First off, if you were starting over today, what type of business, what line of work would you get into?
Man, that's a great question. And I've actually wrestled with that because I'm kind of sitting here talking to my kids. I sure would not, and I would actually tell them to go to law school, but I would tell them to not be a lawyer because trading time for money is not fun. And I would tell them that, and I think that a lot of it depends on kind of what your personality profile is. Mine is that I love to be around people. So I would probably go into the financial advisory world and I would help because that's what I love to do right now is that I love to help people to kind of experience true wealth. And so if I were to start over, I think that that's what I would do. And I would start immediately on building a community and having a freemium model where I just provide tons of information. Like as I learn stuff, then being able to curate that knowledge to people, giving it to them for free, and then having a next level up where I provide some kind of quality goods or services, and then, ultimately tiering that into kind of an inner circle. So kind of the Tony Robbins model, that's what I would do inside of the financial services industry, which is pretty much what we're doing right now. We are turning the corner on OZ Pros into doing exactly that.
Yeah, tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so we have a mastermind. We've got a weekly call that we do, and it's mainly opportunity zone focused, where we geek out on opportunity zone tax issues. And we've got 100 people in it. Then, there's usually about 35 to 40 people that show up, and it's rapid fire, me answering questions about tax stuff. But then I throw in kind of, pieces of knowledge that I'm learning and that, I'm picking up about life hacks, right? About anti-aging things, about health, about wellness. And so we're turning the corner into just servicing opportunity zone folks and turning the corner into helping people that want to do the stuff that we're doing. And so we'll probably end up having a component of that will be specifically focused on homesteaders, people that want to get off the grid and have a contingency plan in the event that something happens cataclysmically inside of the United States. And we teach people about that. And I do it a little bit inside of OZ Pros right now, but we're going to try to turn the corner to where our mastermind effectively does all of that.
The entrepreneurship journey is nothing but ups and downs, followed by more ups and then more downs all the time.
Don't I know it?
Tell me one of the biggest mistakes that you've ever made in entrepreneurship, one of the biggest failures or lessons that you've had along the way.
Wow, there's been so many of them that it's like, all right, which one do I pick? you know? So when I was, when I really kind of launched into the entrepreneurial, venture, when I kind of left law completely, I went to be in-house counsel for a commercial real estate developer, but I was getting paid on a 1099 basis. And we were developing a golf course in the mountains of Western North Carolina. And he ran out of money in July of 2008. And so I stopped getting paid in July of 2008. And so I was a lawyer looking for a job in October of 2008. And let me tell you what you could not find. And so I had to start a law firm from scratch. And not surprisingly, relationship reorganizations tend to happen around that time as well. And so went through a gnarly one of those. And I got full custody of my 3 boys, 2, 3, and 5. And so I was starting a law practice with that happening at the same time. And I think that looking back on it, I'm glad that I did, because it forced me to become an entrepreneur, but I would not have gone into that deal without him having full capitalization of how we were actually going to do the full deal. And so I think that looking at that and underwriting deals and making sure that you've got a reasonable plan for how you're going to provide the inflow of cash, that's the lesson that I learned from that.
Dude, this has been an awesome conversation. Ashley, thank you so much for taking the time to join us on the show. Let's move into the last segment here, sponsored by High Level. If you're a business owner, entrepreneur looking for an all-in-one software solution to manage customer relationships, build funnels, run ads, write copy, do emails. It does basically anything you want it to do. You can get a 30-day free trial at gohighlevel.com/Travis. Let's move into this last segment here, Ashley.
That's really funny because that's the CRM system that we're looking to transition to.
Perfect. Well, now you have an exact reason to do it.
Yep.
Let's move into the last segment, bro. You ready?
Yeah.
What profession other than your own do you think it'd be fun to master?
Wow. I'd love to be a chef.
You know what? That's actually a really good answer. I love food so much. So it'd be nice to be able to know how to make really good version of it.
And I'm pretty good, but like mastering it to where like when you experience a really good chef and all those flavors just explode, I'd love to be that guy.
It's art, man. It's real art.
It really is art.
If you could sit on a park bench with someone, past or present, and chat for an hour, who'd it be?
Jesus.
How do you like to consume information best? Books, audiobooks, blogs, podcasts, YouTube videos?
I like books the best because I love that physical piece, but I've had to convert to audiobooks because it just is so much more efficient and I can do it while I'm doing other things like walking and that kind of drill. And it lets me speed it up. So for those of you that are listening to this podcast at speed, I hope I wasn't talking too fast.
Yeah. What's a book or audiobook that you'd recommend to the audience, specifically on business, entrepreneurship, making money?
I'm trying to remember what it's called, but it's basically EOS Traction by Gino Wickman.
What is your go-to pump-up song?
Ha, man. So this is a good one. It's called it's by Crafty Cuts. Oh man, I was just listening to it and I can't remember the name of it. But there it is.
If you remember, just shoot it over to us. We'll put it in the show notes.
All right.
What is something that you're not very good at, Ashley?
I'm not very good at man, it's like really keeping track of details.
Hmm.
I've forced myself to do it when I was a lawyer, but that's not something that comes easy to me.
As we get everything wrapped up here, bro, where can people go to get more from you?
ozpros.com. If you want to find out where your opportunity zone is closest to you, go to ozpros.com/map. If you want special offers that we love to give to all of your listeners, Travis, they can go to ozpros.com/podcast.
ozpros.com/podcast and ozpros.com/map to get more from Ashley, from his team, everything that they're working on. Thanks so much for doing this, bro. Really appreciate you taking the time. Everybody else listening, remember, money will only solve your money problems, but it's a little bit easier to solve the rest of your problems if you got some money in the bank. So let's solve that problem first here on the Travis Makes Money podcast. Catch you guys next time. Peace out.